Introducing, hosting from the Portuguese section of Massachusetts, representing those that choose to Suze, representing for all his boys mocked because they can't see colors. The man, the king, the motherfucking god of this pod, Matt Souza.
Hosting from the taint of America, representing that fuck, marry, kill game, representing for all the dudes in the group chat, Central Time, representing the motherfucking Late Club, it's Gen DK.
Introducing, hosting from the Portuguese section of Massachusetts, representing those that choose to Suze, representing for all his boys mocked because they can't see colors.
North-South Connection, we're back with GCDub, our 5th episode. Thanks for joining us. If you're on audio or right here on YouTube, you could see me and Maddie in our smiling, gorgeous faces. Hey, Maddie, how you doing?
Good to be here. I can't believe we've done 5 of these already. It's kind of crazy, but it's been fun. It's been great to watch this stuff.
It took us forever to start it, but now we're already 5 months in. So that's what happens when you do monthly shows.
It only took 3 years beforehand to pick exactly what we wanted to do, but we got there. So.
We did, and there has been a lot going on, of course, in GCW, which there always is, and, but, I mean, I debated in which order to talk about these things, but I feel like let's lead up to, what happened last night.
Right.
Or last night. Sunday night, on the most recent show, there was a huge change, but we'll work up to it. Let's talk a little bit about the results from the month of May.
So we are going to go back to May 11th in Brooklyn, New York. This was Fight Night Brooklyn, and I think this was that weird show that was on like a random Wednesday or Thursday night, which is, for my money, I don't prefer watching GCW in the middle of the week, so I did not watch this one live. But we had Jordan Oliver defending the JCW title against Cole Radrick. He won that. The SAT defeated Wasted Youth. Alex Coughlin defeated the one called Manders. Sawyer Reck defeated our friend Rob Shit. Charles Mason defeated Jimmy Lloyd. Blake Christian beat Joey Janela. Masha Slamovich successfully defended the world title against Alec Price. And in the main event, it was Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Tony Deppen. So what'd you think of this one?
I didn't watch this one either. But Zack Sabre Jr. is somebody I don't know much about. I've heard the name, and I watched him wrestle on one of these shows this month, but what's your take on him?
So I've always enjoyed him. I think he's really good. And putting him in there with a guy like Tony Deppen, I think plays to his style, and it plays to Deppen's style. So it was a smart match to make. Unfortunately, Deppen broke his arm in that match, so he will be gone for quite a while, so that's a bummer because he's been a guy we've both enjoyed. So definitely a big loss for them as we get through, seemingly the next couple of months without him. I thought Slamovich and Price was pretty good. I mean, it definitely on the lower end of title matches. Price is not a guy who's, he's not exactly a top of the card type of guy, but it was still a pretty good match. Coughlin and Manders, I thought was really fun. Just a kind of like a hard hitting match. I thought that was a really well done. And Blake Christian beating Joey, big stuff, big match for him, big win for him on this night. So yeah, I thought it was a really good show. Always cool to see the SAT too. So yeah, I thought
Oh,
it was a fun
yes.
show.
So yeah, Joey loses to Blake Christian here, and Blake has been on this run really
Mm-hmm.
of wins and really good showings. Um, not as I feel like he's not in every show as much as some of the other wrestlers
Right.
are.
Mm-hmm.
But in a lot, and all of his stuff has definitely felt earned
Yep.
so far. And he continues on.
Mm-hmm.
May 20th, The Way I Am. We had Janela defeating Karam. Uh, Brayer Wellington defeats Charles Mason by DQ. That's odd.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we had the tag team title three-way with East West Express defeating Los Macisos and the Motor City Machine Guns. That's their real names. Then we had a death match. Mance Warner defeats Tony Vendetta, and then another one. John Wayne Murdoch defeats Crazy King. In a five-way scramble, Cole Radrick defeats Alec Price and August Matthews and Caleb Conley and Davey Bang. And then Blake Christian defeats Effie.
Mm-hmm.
In the world title five-way scramble, Masha defeated Allison Kay and Lufisto and Maki Ito and Shaza McKenzie. And then for the GCW Ultra Violent title, Rena defeated Jimmy Lloyd, who is a different boy, from what I
Mm-hmm.
understand.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard. Yeah, I've heard that about him. I think this was the show in Detroit. This one was pretty good too, but I feel like it was. Look, there were better shows this month. I'm just gonna say it,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
I do think it was still pretty good. The Mance Warner Tommy Vendetta match was supremely violent, as was Murdoch and Crazy King. So you definitely got your violence there. Rena had another great showing against Jimmy Lloyd in the main event. I thought that was a ton of fun, and like we just mentioned, another big win for Blake here. So yeah, he keeps going. And as we'll get to later, he's not going to stop anytime soon. So, but
He's not, but this is what I wanted for him, like, because
mhm,
I said, for months, like I'd like to see Blake as a huge heel champion,
mhm,
one of the belts, and he. But I wanted to see him win a bunch of matches and
right.
be an asshole in a bunch of matches, and that's
Mhm.
exactly what they're doing for me, and he's really doing it well.
I think they
Um,
had to do something like that with him.
yeah.
I think to really build him up because I mean, yeah, he's been a shit heel, but he hasn't really to this point he hadn't really beaten much of anybody.
Hmm.
Like he'd been kind
Hmm.
of in lower card stuff, so he needed to rack up wins against a bunch of guys, and that's what they've been doing with him. So.
It's been really fun to watch,
Hmm.
and that continues on to that May 21st show called "I Can't Save You." What happened that one?
We had Steph DeLander defeating Maki Ito in the opener. The East West Express defended the tag titles and defeated Janela and Sawyer Wreck. Los Macisos and Crazy King defeated Caleb Conley, Chico Suave, and Jimmy Lloyd. Blake Christian beat Trey Miguel. Gringo Loco beat Ninja Mac. Cole Radrick, with an upset, beat Matt Cardona. Alex Shelley defeated Alec Price. The second gear crew, which was Manders, Effie, and Matthew Justice, along with Rena Yamashita, defeated the Bang Bros, Jeffrey John, and the Swinger. And then in the main event for the GCW World Title, it was Masha Slamovich defeating Mance Warner. And let me tell you,
Mhm.
if not for the matches that we saw this past weekend, Slamovich and Mance Warner would probably be my match of the month because I enjoyed the hell out of that match. It was really good, just a really solid title match.
Yeah, I actually did get to see this show, and
Hmm.
I would totally agree that Masha. I'm not surprised by her title defenses at all because I really liked her when she won, but just her diversity
Hmm.
in these matches and these wins, like,
Yep.
really stuck out for me. Mance is one who goes hard,
Hmm.
and she didn't hold back at all, and she met him every beat. Like, it was really, really good. I would suggest anyone go back and watch that if
Hmm.
they missed it.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
she's the type of wrestler I feel like she can wrestle in any type of scenario. Like if you want to have a straight wrestling match, she can do that. If you want to have a violent brawl with light tubes and chairs and shit, she can do that too. So honestly, I think that's probably partially why she's the world champion, because she can do everything. So.
I like that about her. I like,
Hmm.
her diversity in these, title defenses, and
Yep.
really just being dominant in them as well, like, really
Right.
showing
Yep.
out really well.
Yep.
What else on that show? We got more Steph Delander and Matt Cardona,
Hmm.
um, goodness with
Yep.
Maki and Nick Gage. That has been ongoing for a while now.
Yep.
Uh, it's fun. To me, it's just fucking fun.
Right.
Matt is so all in on his character, and of
Yep.
course Nick is Nick. So
Hmm.
adding in Steph and Maki in there just really it has really I- it has really stepped it up, I thought.
Yeah, I feel like because Gage and Cardona have wrestled each other before, so
Hmm.
I feel like they needed to add something to it to kind of give it a little bit of. It didn't really need juice to begin with because it had it already there, but they wanted to give it a little extra something. So I think adding the women to it has given it something. I mean, that mixed tag whenever it happens is going to be unspeakably violent, and I'm here for it. So I'm looking forward to that whenever that
Please
happens.
let it happen SummerSlam weekend. That
That's what
is
I'm thinking. That would be my guess, is that it happens SummerSlam weekend in Detroit.
that's what I need to happen. I
Because
will lose my mind.
I can't imagine them extending this all the way out to Mania next year.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's no way. Like, you don't need.
No.
They've had a lot of clashes. They've
Right.
just done the run-ins. They've had straight up matches together and mix and match, and
Hmm.
they show up all the time. Nick, runs them out, says, "Get your shit and get out of my locker room," and he's
Yep.
so great at it. Him and Maki are so unexpectedly adorable together, and
Right.
I don't know. It's just something in this little when she jumps up on his back and he carries her
Yeah.
piggyback. I just, I don't know. I really
It's
like
it's a
that.
pairing you wouldn't think would work,
I know.
but it does for whatever reason.
Nick is so, like, endearing to me in that way, to where this man has no business, mixing it up with
Right.
these. I don't know. It just the whole opposite ends of the
Right.
of the visual spectrum really does it for me
This
on
tiny
that.
4.5 foot tall woman and this former guy who's been in this guy who's formerly been in prison, and
I adore him, but look, he looks rough. He looks
Mhm.
like he lives rough. So, and
Oh
she's
yeah.
just perfection in this little tiny package, and
Right.
it works for me. Um, seems like no, I don't think I had anything else from that one.
Hmm.
The next one was the Vegas show, right?
Yep.
That's Lifestyle. And that was the six-way scramble. Alec Price defeats Billy Starks and Damian Drake and Jimmy Lloyd and Mac Vonegriff and Sam Stackhouse from True Blood. Okay. Zack Saber Jr. defeats Jordan Oliver, is what I just said.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maki Ito defeats Sandra Moon. Joey Janela and Sawyer Wreck defeat Matt Cardona and Steph Delander. Blake Christian defeats Dark Sheik. Six-man tag, three-way with Bussy with Mance Warner. They defeat Los Macizos and John Wayne Murdoch with Jack Cartwheel, Starboard Charlie, and Titus Alexander. And then in the triple threat, we had Vikingo defeating Gringo Loco and Commander in a hell of a match.
Hmm.
And then in the ultra violent title, Rena defeats Cole Radrick to retain her championship. So this was a lit show.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a really good one. The main, like you, Vikingo, Gringo Loco, and Commander. I mean, if you're listening to this pod, you probably saw the gifs making the rounds on Twitter of some of the stuff from this match. I mean, that double power bomb that Gringo
Oh,
Loco hit on both Commander and Vikingo. I don't know how he did that. Like, I've seen the gif a million times. I have no idea how he was able to pull that off. It's insane. I mean,
I can't believe it was only 15 minutes too,
right?
because I just, even though it's fast paced, like it just went on forever, and like I didn't want it to end.
Right.
It was tremendous.
Just three guys who know what the fuck they're doing. They know how to do the lucha thing, and the three of them do it very, very well. So
Mhm.
yeah, that match was awesome. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it.
Vikingo owns a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
He really does, and Gringo Loco really just shows out. Like he's a bigger guy in there
Right.
doing this, and they're kind of smaller. Commander is not that small, but
Mm-hmm.
to me, Gringo Loco is in there just doing as much
Right.
as the other guys. And then we had the Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Jordan Oliver. I was shocked.
Yeah, I wonder if New Japan had something to do with that, because Zack Sabre Jr. is he's contracted with New Japan, and New Japan is very protective of their guys. But then
Mm,
again, there was a show again that we're going to talk about later on where a New Japan guy lost. So I don't know. I wonder if it's like a guy by guy thing with New Japan, because I feel like I kind of had a feeling that Sabre wasn't going to lose any of these matches, these couple of
really?
matches. Yeah,
Hmm.
just because of what I know about New Japan and the fact that he's a champion in New Japan, like they don't want their champions to lose in any circumstance. So I just kind of had a feeling that he wasn't going to lose any of these matches, and the match was still really good.
It was
But
good.
it was that submission. He fucking twisted Oliver into a pretzel to make him tap. I mean, my God. But yeah, it was a very good match, and I'd like to see more of Sabre Jr. in GCW. It's interesting. Like, there's a match we're going to preview later on that I think is very interesting, and I'm very curious to see how that goes. But yeah, I want to see more of him in GCW. It's an interesting environment for him as opposed to the very polished New Japan that he usually wrestles in.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize all of that. Like I said, I've heard his name so much, but I don't really
Mhm.
know him really at all. So, but that match was like, oh, hi, okay,
Yeah, no, really good stuff. This whole show was really good, and
it
I mean,
was.
it was Memorial Day weekend. It was, I want to say it was the night before the AEW show or something like that. And I mean, it's a hell of
Mhm,
a way to kick off a weekend of wrestling for them. So yeah, ton of fun here. And it felt like, it almost felt like they wanted to go out and have a banger of a show because everybody was going to be watching it because
mhm.
there were a lot of wrestling fans. It's almost like the Mania weekend shows. There's going to be a ton of wrestling fans going there for the AEW show who probably went to this show just because, well, we want more wrestling. So
Wrestling, yeah.
it felt like everybody was on a mission to kind of show out, and it came across.
I think there was definitely some stank on that show.
Hmm.
And just being a Vegas show too, I think always
Right.
helps.
Yep.
And that led up and to this past weekend
Hmm.
with we've talked about our love of a GCW tournament.
Hmm.
We talked about it recently, and I don't think that we're going to have much more of a change of opinion because we watched the Tournament of Survival
Hmm.
this weekend, and it was a fucking banger.
Hmm.
Tell us what happened on that one.
So we had from New Jersey a brand new building and a new area of the same building. I guess would be the best way to put it. I think it was called the Terminal or something. It looks like
Hmm.
an employee parking lot basically, but
Kind of, yes.
but honestly, I kind of like it better than the old building. It's the type of dingy I want with a GCW
It
show.
was perfect. Yeah.
And I like the look of the old building, but this new
Hmm.
building, I just think it captures that grimy ass feel that I want. Anyway, we had Cyclope defeating Green Phantom and Miedo Extremo in the first round. Second first round match was Toru Segura defeating Joey Janela and Tomoya Harata. John Wayne Murdoch defeating El Desperado and Matt Tremont. And then in the final match of the opening round, we had Rina Yamashita defeating Casey Kirk and Sawyer Wreck. Then after they cleaned up the blood,
And the glass and
glass, the fluids, and everything
the
else,
piss.
the piss. Yes, there was a non-tournament four-way match as Blake Christian wins again,
Mm.
defeating Alec Price, Gringo Loco, and Jack Cartwheel. And then we go to the semifinals where we have John Wayne Murdoch defeating Cyclope and Rina Yamashita defeating Toru Segura. And then in the finals, it was Rina Yamashita winning the Tournament of Survival by beating John Wayne Murdoch. And then after that match, we had an invasion, if you will, by one Japanese deathmatch wrestler, Jun Kasai. As he came in, he was wearing like some sort of mask or something, and he attacked both of them. And it would appear, I believe they have a Japan tour. GCW has a tour of Japan coming up. I want to say it's middle of July or something. So I'm assuming that's setting up some sort of GCW versus Japan match for that tour. So, but yeah, that is how the show ended with Jun Kasai basically standing tall. So, what'd you think of this, Jenny?
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
there's not many things that are so much for me. This tournament was very much for me.
Mm-hmm.
They did not make me wait long at all before they busted out the light tubes.
Nope.
I mean, everything's a death match. Everything is just bleeding, glass. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I saw the most sick shit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the window panes. There was um just the bundling of all the tubes, and
Mm-hmm.
then all the ways that they use the tubes.
Yep.
You would think there was only a limited number of ways you can
Right.
do the tube things, but no. And then also I thought that everybody was really well. I really liked the tournaments with the 3 competitors in every match.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And I don't think I've ever really seen one like that before.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to see a lot of wrestlers highlighted that I haven't seen really a lot before, like Green Phantom. Not
Mm-hmm.
seen a lot of him. I was really impressed with that first round match.
Yep.
I thought he was really good. Desperado, I've not seen a lot of the Japanese guys, and but then when it got into Rena territory, like she
Mm-hmm.
was clear, like there was no way she wasn't winning this entire thing because
Oh yeah. Yep.
she kicked so much ass.
Mm-hmm.
She Like, it was never any doubt in my mind who was gonna win after I saw her. The one Rena Sawyer-Wreck and Casey Kirk was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Casey, I've not seen a lot of her before. She was the weakest part of that, I thought,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the tournament overall. But she's a woman in deathmatch wrestling, so I'm not really knocking her a lot. Like,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's like she looked a little shaky, but I'm sure she will improve. I'm sure that things will get better and she can get up to a Sawyer level in
Right.
no time because it wasn't bad. It was just kind of not on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sawyer was wearing white in
Mm-hmm.
this. She looked so great.
Yep.
Um, I love her in the green. Like that green has been doing it for me for months, but that white was very nice to see.
Yep.
Um, Blake Christian winning that bonus match in the middle there. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he was he was really showing out, and Gringo Loco again stood out in that match.
Yep.
Uh, he in the end of that, he used the stomp after the based bomb, which
Mm-hmm.
was really tight. I really like that ending.
Yep.
Um, and then we got some weed whackers. So
Yeah.
what do you think about the weed whackers?
So I've seen it before. I don't know if GCW's ever done it. Maybe they have, but that used to be a thing in the old Combat Zone wrestling days when Tournament of Death used to be a thing. Like in the early 2000s, you would see a weed whacker every now and then. But
Mhm.
I don't know if we've seen one in GCW yet. But I wasn't surprised.
I
I was
think
very
so.
surprised, I should say. Have we seen one before? I don't remember.
Maybe I know I've seen one.
Hmm.
I know I've seen one, but it might have been in COVID days
I
in
mean, if
somebody's
there's ever
backyard.
if there's ever a time to use a weed whacker, it's in the tournament of survival. So.
I would agree. And
Mhm.
then Cycloplay, I can never say his name. Anyway, he tapped in that match.
Mhm.
I was like, I was like, you used a weed whacker on somebody in this match. But then he tapped to Murdoch, so that was
Mhm.
great. Um, I don't know. I don't know if there's much more that you can actually give me in a tournament because by the end there was scaffolding,
Mhm.
not not just regular scaffolding, really rickety, terrible looking
Yeah. Oh
scaffolding
yeah.
the way that
Oh
I
yeah.
like
Yeah.
it to look.
Yep.
Inconveniently placed, right there on the weird side of the ring,
Mhm.
and I love the use of it. The fucking finish was so great to the
Yep.
tournament. Her win, huge pop. I can't say enough good things about the tournament. That all of that, my shit.
Yeah, the whole show really well done. Every match, I think, delivered in its own way. Seeing El Desperado, who's another New Japan guy, do this deathmatch style was very
Yes.
interesting. And I know he's done some deathmatch stuff in, like, I think he's wrestled Jun Kasai in Japan at one point fairly recently. But I mean, New Japan really doesn't do stuff like this ever. So it was definitely interesting to see him in this style of match. Rena showed out. Obviously, she won the entire tournament, and she was awesome. She was the MVP through the entire thing. She is someone who knows how to beat the fuck out of someone with whether it's light tubes, chairs, hell, bare fists. Like she knows what to do. She knows how to do it, and she knows how to make it look fucking incredible. So I mean, I think.
Mhm.
I think the goal here was to kind of put her in that next level to really. I mean, she's already kind of a main eventer in GCW, but I think the point of this was to really escalate her as maybe being someone they can build the entire fucking company around. And maybe, she's already the ultra violent champion. Maybe she gets a world
Mhm.
title run at some point in the future. But I think that was the goal of this. And I think if that's the case, mission accomplished because I think they made a star here on this night. Like just unbelievable stuff from her.
I can't agree more because I've seen her periodically here recently. I
Mm-hmm.
remember her and somebody had a really good match. I'm terrible at just remembering shit off the top of my head, but I know I've said good things about her and seen
Mm-hmm.
her and been impressed with her. But this tournament just totally was like, boom, just straight up,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
to the top of my list of people that I want to see more of.
Yep.
Um, there's no way she's not going to be a champion
Right.
at some point.
Yeah. I feel like they have to at some point now. I mean, the crowd loves her. So,
It's hard not to, which is
right.
fucking great.
Yep.
And then, not to be outdone, the
Mm-hmm.
next night we had the Cage of Survival 2, where we had Maki Ito defeating Janai Kai. Matt Cardona and Steph DeLander defeated the Kirks, Brandon and Casey. Vikingo defeated Ninja Mac. East West Express defeated, and with Mike Bailey, defeated Alec Price, Jack Cartwheel, and Jimmy Lloyd. We had a tag team death match with Los Macizos defeating Soul Meat. I didn't realize that was the name of their team.
That's a great name. That's a great name.
Soul Meat.
That's very good. Soul
Oh.
as in not like soul of foot, but
No,
soul
like your soul, like yeah.
as in Soul Plane, the famous
Nice.
movie with
And then El Desperado defeated Joey Janela.
Mhm.
Okay, and then we had a world title match, which was the Cage of Survival. The match was between Masha and Rena,
Mhm.
okay? And then Blake Christian had this title opportunity
Mhm.
that he had yet to cash in. And towards the end of this match, he runs in and defeats Masha to win the title.
Mhm.
I I'm not going to say I was shocked because I got spoiled on this one, so I
Mhm.
didn't get to see it while it was happening. I would have been shocked probably, but I I don't hate it. I kind
Mhm.
of really love it. And we've been talking about his wins, his wins. I don't think it was a shock that he cashed in on
Mhm.
this night, but he did it really well, and it was a hell of a memorable ending. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it's a thing that we knew was coming, right?
Mhm.
The only question was when was it going to happen? And the thing that surprised me was that I didn't think it was going to happen here.
Mhm.
But I mean, thinking about it now, hindsight being 2020, it is kind of shrewd to do it here because I mean, now you have Masha, who's obviously going to get a rematch at some point, and you also get out of this cage of survival match without having someone pin Rena. So she
Yep.
keeps her streak going. She keeps
Yep.
her hot streak going. So it was very shrewd to do it here. Like I was expecting it to happen in Detroit,
Mhm.
and then they would build to someone taking the title off of him at Mania. So I mean, that could still be the end game, but it just happened, 8 weeks sooner than I thought. But I mean, hell of a moment. The match was fantastic before Blake came in, and good lord, that crowd reaction they were just
Oh,
brutal,
that
brutal.
was now look, I've been the only one cheering for Blake Christian before, that I
Mhm.
could hear, and I don't know, do you expect a long title reign? Do you expect this to be a bit, or are we just fucking around for a minute?
I feel like it's gonna be a bit.
Yeah, because
I have
Masha had it for what,
couple
2
months. Like she
months?
won it in
2
March, I think. I
yeah,
think it was
2,
March
3
or April.
months.
Yeah.
Decent,
Hmm.
I thought she did well as champion, but,
Oh, definitely.
there is something about Blake Christian, though.
And I wonder if it's a thing too, if maybe they moved it forward because he's so hot as a heel right now that they can't ignore it. So it's like, you know what,
Could be.
let's just fucking run with it at this point. Give him a long run. Because I mean, he's the most over heel in him and Cardona. They're 1 and 2 as
Mhm,
far as like
mhm,
most hated heels in the company. So it's like, all right, let's give it to him. Let's see what he can do. So I think it's a great moment. I mean, the crowd heat was insane. I mean, just
mhm.
fucking pelting garbage and beer cans and bottles at the ring was a hell of a scene. And I loved how the announcers just dipped out after the fall happened.
Just
They
let it
didn't
go.
they didn't say a fucking word. They just let it go. And while Blake's climbing up the scaffolding, which was there again for the cage of survival, and
Mhm.
he's just taunting everybody. It was great. I mean, I never would have thought he would have been this good of a heel. And I mean, he's impressed the hell out of me. So, and it's smart to do it in Jersey because they were the first people that really started hating his fucking guts. So
That's true.
it's an extra fuck you to Jersey, which I appreciate.
Um, ooh, okay, any other notes from that show? Matt Cardona and Steph Delander with the Kirks was sloppy as fuck, but, like,
Yeah,
really entertaining.
it was a very like sports entertainment style of
Yeah,
match.
yeah.
The thing I liked about this show the most is I'm a big fan of shows like this where this was one of those shows that had something for everybody.
Mhm.
You had the violent stuff in the last three matches on the show. You had the awesome wrestling with Vikingo beating Ninja Mac. The 6-man tag was great, and then you had the sports entertainment style stuff with Cardona. So it's a
It
cliche,
is, yeah.
but it really is one of those shows that kind of had something for everything, something for every type of wrestling fan. So I really enjoyed it for that, and it was a fun show. So the crowd was a little iffy at points, particularly during Janela Desperado. I thought they were a little gassed from all the stuff they
Mhm.
had seen,
Mhm.
but boy, they ramped it up at the end when Blake won it. So I'll give him a pass.
What did you think of the cage of survival?
It was very much a cage in theory, and
Mhm.
not necessarily a cage in practice. There was one
Big
panel of
WCW vibes.
there was exactly one panel of chain link fence, which
Yep, yep.
I guess that makes a cage, and also there was a very long intermission. Like I almost wonder if they tried setting up a cage because the intermission was very long. It was like it was like 45 minutes in between the Janela match and the Cage of Survival. So I almost wonder if like I don't know, they didn't measure because they're in a new building. Like did they try setting up a real cage and it's like fuck, it ain't gonna fit. this new place we didn't measure it. Shit.
It did have that huge ceiling fan.
Right. That's what I'm wondering, because it would make sense. It's a new building. It's, they may not have known, because the last Cage of Survival, that cage was fucking massive, but they were in the old showboat room, which was bigger. So it's like, did they get there and like, fuck, this ain't gonna fit. What are we gonna do?
Just put light tubes around 3/4 of the way around the ring, and then use this one piece of cage that we have, and then use the scaffolding.
Right. Throw some barbed wire there. Put the plate glass over there.
So I feel like there's all these spots that I want to talk about during the whole like tournament, really through the whole weekend. But like the barbed wire use was so awesome, like just on the board.
Yep.
The board with the cut off cans.
Yeah,
that's new. New.
That one made me feel funny. I didn't like that one.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah.
Shoot, I feel like there was a lot of glass panes.
Yeah. There was a lot of glass.
Yeah.
Just in general. I wonder how many tubes they used throughout the weekend.
I would love a count of the tubes.
I was gonna say you need like a tube counter or something in the bottom.
Real
of the
sexy
screen.
number, I'll tell you that much. Because boy, they did not stop. I know I'm backtracking a little bit, but I just okay. So who you want to see Blake Christian fight now that he's the champ?
Well, he's got one title match coming up that we'll get to, but he's not losing the title anytime soon. So I just assume he's going to win. I mean, they're probably going to do a match with Gage at some point, I would imagine, right? Like, I would imagine that's coming. I mean, I feel like he's the type of guy, he can kind of wrestle anybody. I mean, you saw him do a pretty violent match last summer with Mox. So, I mean, if you want to throw him in there with a deathmatch guy, you can. I mean, he's probably going to get a rematch with Masha. Like, I know there's a New York show coming up in July. Wouldn't shock me if that's your main event for that. I mean, do they do Blake Christian and Rena at some point too? Like, my guess would be probably, and maybe Rena.
So.
And I would think maybe Rena's one of the favorites to beat him. That would be my guess, because I don't know. I feel like they're not very face heavy right now as far as guys who can realistically take the title off Blake. Like, I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but like it's Gage, it's Joey, it's Rena. So like I feel like it's probably going to be one of those three that does it. But I feel like we're a long ways away from that. Like like it wouldn't shock me if Blake is champion till Mania. I feel like
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong, but we'll see. I mean, that's kind of brave, but I don't know. I think he's got it in him for sure. I
think it depends. I think on how he does too.
Right. Like that's what I was thinking. Like I had this it's not iffy because I think he could do it, but like I feel like it's either great or not great. Like it's either gonna hit or it's not really gonna hit.
Right.
So and then that'll kind of change what happens.
Like I think if the crowd keeps hating him like poison, like they do right now, like I think a title run till Mania is well within the right. But like, you know, if the crowd starts to dissipate or he gets go away heat or something like that, then maybe they do a quick change back to someone else, you know.
It's the go away heat that worries me because it's borderline sometimes.
Right. Yep.
Not for me, but for normal people in the crowd.
Right.
To me, I'm like, no, stay in this asshole era forever. But it's interesting. All of it's like very. I was, you know, I mean, we could kind of see it happening, but also amazing that they pulled the trigger on it.
Right. Yep. Yep.
All right, I remembered the order this time of
Mm-hmm.
what we're gonna do. So we care a lot about these matches that we picked for our matches of the month.
Mm-hmm.
What you got, Matt?
I'm torn between the Cage of Survival itself or Rina versus Toru Segura in the semifinal, because both of those were very good.
Dude, that's my painting because I would also pick between. I pick one and you pick the other, and then that'll be good. How about it?
Perfect. You
All
first.
right, all right. So I'm gonna do what's his name? Segura.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh, and that was in the middle of the tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
She
Was
already
semifinal, I think.
semi.
Yep.
So I'd already seen her with Sawyer and Casey.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times during the middle parts of tournaments, I get bored.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like, I'll see like the beginning part of it, who's at the end, and then in the middle. But then this match, I thought was the best of the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
They do the door with the barbed wire spot that was fucking sick, and just the casual use of tubes. Just the way
Mm-hmm.
they would swing them, just like, like it's almost better to me than like, oh, like,
Yeah.
But then they would just when you casually smack somebody in the face with something, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know why that always just does it for me. Um, there was good near falls. The finish was amazing,
Yep.
and I just thought she worked so hard in this match. They had tons of chemistry,
Yep.
and really for him, and of course I'm focusing on her, but he was awesome. Like, and
Yep.
that was one of, like, I'd seen him in like one other match maybe, and just really interested to see more from him. And um, boy, just seek this one out if you don't watch the whole tournament. I mean, you should
Yeah.
watch the whole tournament, but this one was a freaking gem in the middle of it.
I mean, look, this was a great month for
Yes.
GCW. Like, every show had something that I think is absolutely worth watching. But I mean, I think when you factor in everything with the title change, the crowd reaction after it, like, I got to go with Cage of Survival. Like, first of all, it was violent as all hell. Numerous glass all over the place. That spot where they had the glass propped up on that hanging cage, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Rena does the splash on Tamasha, like, good on that. It was like a plate of glass or something. Good lord, it was nasty. I really liked, despite the crowd kind of being wishy washy on it, I liked Janela and Desperado a lot too. I thought that was a really good match, but I think the Cage of Survival outshined it. So yeah, and again, you couple that in with the shock of Blake winning and just the crowd losing their minds over it. I think for me, I got to go with that.
I can't blame you. And I wish there was, like, with Money in the Bank, when somebody has like a cash in, whatever, there's like a thing that you can like
Mm-hmm.
give, like, go
Right.
like, here's my briefcase. They needed something for Blake in that moment, because I felt like when he ran out, I mean, we all knew what was happening, but
Right.
I just wanted there to be a little more something like, here's my golden ticket or whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
Like,
Here's my golden light tube.
right. Yeah. Something like that. I just
Right.
need some sort of token. We're wrestling. We're very visually based.
Right.
So don't
I've always been a visual learner, so that would help.
most guys are. So if you I don't know. That's one little nitpick I might have had was, if there was something visually
Mm-hmm.
representative of his opportunity, that, because it just makes it more clear. Because
Right.
if you didn't know and that was happening, then you'd be like, what the hell,
Right. Right.
But that's all I'll say about that. And then we'll move on to some previews.
Mm-hmm.
the name of that song?
I know it's Rob Zombie, but I don't know the name.
It's called Pussy Liquor.
Oh, perfect.
Liqueur, as it's
Li-
spelled, but
oh, liqueur. Excuse me.
liqueur.
Yes,
Liquor.
not liquor, liqueur, same thing.
Kind of clever, kind of dirty. Like, I like it.
Kind of dirty.
A little bit dirty. So we got some shows to preview. Not much, actually, as far as like full cards or anything, but
Hmm.
upcoming shows for the rest of the month and a little bit into July. So on June 17th, we have Thank Me Later. Right now, Joey Janela and Sawyer Wreck versus Los Macizos. Dark Sheik versus Kevin Blackwood. Rena, why do I want to say Rena versus Maki, which should be very good.
Hmm.
And then Nick Gage versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Uh huh.
So that escalated quickly.
Yeah, that's the one that I was talking about earlier. What the hell is that match going to be like?
What? So you just educated me previously about him not needing to lose from a New Japan kayfabe standpoint.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if Nick wants to do that either. So
I I
I
I
predict a 30-minute draw.
I, I think there's going to be all kinds of shenanigans and fuckery in that match.
Could be.
Cardona running in 18 times and just a whole bunch of shit. Like, it wouldn't shock me, honestly, if that match ends in like a no contest or something, or they just go off the air without a finish. Like, that wouldn't shock me because I can't see Sabre losing to Gage. I mean, I could. It would be very shocking to me if Sabre lost to Gage, and it would also be very
Hmm.
shocking to me if Sabre made Gage tap out. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how this is gonna go.
that does seem very odd.
Yeah.
So whatever. Well, why not? Why the fuck not? That's why I fucking love this promotion.
Yep.
Why not have this match? What do we got on June 23rd?
So we have Ride or Die, as we have 3 matches announced for this so far on June 23rd. Lufisto will face Steph DeLander. Gringo Loco versus Blake Christian. Now, as of right now, this hasn't been announced as a title match. Maybe it's going to be non-title, but the match was made before Blake won the title. But that could be a
Hmm.
very interesting match between those two. And then
Yeah.
I think this third match is the main event. Metalik, Grand Metalik from WWE, he will take on Vikingo in what will be a whole lot of flippy business in that match, and that should be a ton of fun.
Metalik, who the fuck is that?
He was Grand Metalik in WWE, and I am drawing a blank on his name. If you give me 1 second on his what his name was when he was in Lucha.
Metalik.
Uh,
I've seriously never heard of that. I mean, that's not
I,
like unusual, but
I
Grand.
think he's
Okay.
done. Oh, he's
He's a
Mascara
luchador.
Dorada. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mascara Dorada was his name when he was in CMLO. He's a pretty famous luchador. He was in WWE for a spell there. So yeah, it's
Is
two
he in Ring of
luchadors.
Honor still?
I feel like he was in AEW for a bit, or he made a couple of appearances there. Like, I think he was in a
Weird.
tag or two, but yeah,
That'll
it's
be good.
very, yeah, that should be a ton of fun. So I'm looking forward to that one.
On the 24th, they're doing Mastermind. That's the one that's in Huntsville, I think. So I'm like, I really want to go,
Mm,
but we'll see. That's Rena versus Effie so far, and Blake Christian versus Adam Priest.
hmm I mean, Rena and Effie should be fun
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm
if they
all
let it be.
about
If it's a death match and they beat the bag out of each other with light tubes, like that'll
Well,
be.
see, like that, the venue, the Von Braun Center. I don't know if you can do light tubes in there.
Mm,
So, but then I don't know that place that we saw them do the tournament at. Not that much different. So I'm like,
right.
maybe I don't know, but um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm telling myself they're not going to do light tubes, so I don't feel like shit because I can't go.
Right.
Like, oh, they're not going to do live tubes anyway, so it's totally fine if you don't go and then watch them do them. So, that's all that's happening in my brain right now.
Right.
And right now into July, we have Backyard Wrestling on the 4th with no card yet. And then Cleanup Man on the 8th with Jimmy Lloyd and Wasted Youth versus the SAT. Blake Christian versus Richard Holiday for the world title. Who's Richard Holiday?
He is a local guy, local to the Northeast. The show, I'm going to the show in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
He is local to the Northeast and actually just got over a battle with cancer. He is in remission. So they are giving him a title shot with Blake Christian. They actually, as of this recording, they actually announced it like late last night that was going to be one of the main events on this show.
Well, that's interesting. And then Nick Gage versus Psycho Clown. So that's you get to see that.
That is why I bought a ticket. As soon as they announced that main event, it was like, all right, I should probably drive 2 hours to go see this main event. Good Lord. So yeah, that should be something. I'm also very pumped that I get to see the SAT. I've never seen them live, so very excited for that. So
that is cool.
Shaping up to be a hell of a show.
Hell yeah. Well, hopefully by the time we gather again, we will both have been to a GCW show, but you for sure. And I'm excited for what the rest of the summer has and for seeing the show for sure at SummerSlam when that happens. So I don't know. Do you have any other parting thoughts?
I think that is it for right now. Like we've been saying the entire show, May into June was a great month for GCW. I mean, like, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shows, and I would say there was at least one match on every show that is well worth going out of your way to see. So, and it looks like over the next month, we're going to have more things that'll be worth going out of your way to see. So. I'm looking forward to watching more GCW. I'm looking forward to being there live on July 8th for fucking Nick Gage and Psycho Clown. Good Lord.
Hell yeah.
Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to see that. It's going to be insane. And then you'll have to take a lot of videos.
On it.
Okay, good. Thanks again to everybody who has reached out about the show, and we get a lot of nice comments about it, and I really appreciate that. Some of those comments come from the GCW Plant podcast, so check them out if you want like deep dives into these shows and every show. They are super fans like us, and actually, like hang out with the wrestlers, and they very like into GCW and like hands-on with a lot of the things that they do. So it's pretty cool listening to those guys. And of course, the North-South Connection, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and all of the platforms. We have a website, northsouthconnection.com. We're collectively on Twitter together at GCDub, and then I am at Jenny Position, and Matt is at M Souza 93.
Wrong.
Whoa, god dang it!
That's the same thing Schiff said when he fucked it up.
I knew I was going to say the right one or the Schiff one. 1991.
There it is.
1991. M Souza 1991. I knew I was. Anyway, follow all that. And thanks for listening and watching. And it is MDK.
All fucking day.
It's definitely the song that I'm going to choose. Sure it is.